This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, the council's plan to ditch Mosgill's community board is concerning some leaders. New laws have been passed, but some remain concerned that workplace health and safety is insufficient. And teenagers daunted by the prospect of finishing high school may now benefit from the work of 3 women. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Holly Buchanan. Mosgill is set to lose its community board if the City Council has its way. The Local Government Commission will decide whether to approve the council's plan in coming months, and the prospect is worrying some local leaders.
Mosgill's been under a community board since 1989, currently represented by 6 elected members. But the City Council plans to disestablish the board as part of wider changes to local government. Bill Feathers in his 3rd term on the board, his 2nd as chairman. And as a lifelong Mosgill citizen, he's concerned residents are losing their voice.
They have to rely now solely on council laws to represent them at the council table. And that's a hard ask because the councillors, once elected and are sitting at the table, have to take the wider city view.
The council's proposed changes must be approved by the Local Government Commission, and its decision has to be made before next October's elections. Feather says if the board's scrapped, city councillors will have a harder task, taking on sole responsibility of Mosgill and its people.
Mosgill has a particular need in that respect. We live on a floodplain. We have a couple of streams that border our town that are prone to flooding.
Mosgill's not the only part of the district affected by the council's plan changes. Several board member positions are being cut, and boundary changes mean residents of some suburbs either don't come under a board or are covered by a different one. Feather says that's contrary to public preference.
The majority wished to retain the community board, so in their minds we must be doing our job.
About 14,000 people live in Mosgill, and the town's steady growth is expected to continue, as is residents' desire to be suitably represented. Rosie Mannins, 39 Dunedin News.
And more than 30 people are set to lose their jobs at the end of the year when a local foundry closes. Staff at the ESCO foundry in Thomas Burns Street were told of the closure and redundancies yesterday. It's allegedly a result of Australia's mining downturn. The foundry's been operated by ESCO since 2010. It was previously owned by Farrer Engineering, which sold it to an Australian firm in 2007. The foundry closure is lamented by city leaders, including the mayor, who says it's a blow to the local economy. He hopes redundant staff are absorbed by other local engineering companies. ESCO provides truck bodies and parts to the mining industry. Local union members are calling for better workplace protection in the wake of new legislation. A new occupational health and safety law has just passed through Parliament, but some residents are concerned it doesn't go far enough.
Parliament's new health and safety legislation is attracting criticism. Union's Otago convener Fiona Matapo says the bill's a watered-down version of what John Key originally promised after the Pike River disaster, lacking important provisions that guarantee workers the right to health and safety representatives.
There was a promise made by John Key at that time that there would be some changes to health and safety legislation in New Zealand, and we believed at that time that those changes would have a really positive impact on worker safety, and then it fell short.
Matapo's main concern with the new legislation is the classification of high-risk workplaces. She says some of the country's most dangerous workplaces, such as dairy farms, are now deemed low risk, while lavender farms fall under the high-risk category. And when local union members lobbied Workplace Relations and Safety Minister Michael Woodhouse, they were turned away.
That sent a message to Unions Otago that there was no real attempt by the Minister or any real intention of communicating with us and listening to our views.
Residents opposed to the law also staged a vigil, making their views known to the minister and the wider public. And Matapo says the show of camaraderie helped to reassure her that the cause is an important one.
One of the positives that came out of that is that we now have a community of families who formed some strong bonds and relationships. So that's good to see. It's not the outcome we wanted, but that is one positive.
Despite the bill having passed through Parliament, Matapo is confident Unions Otago can make a difference, with plans for further discussion around the Act's fine print. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
And a spike in crime has police warning Carlton Hill residents to be on guard. In the latest incidents, a mountain bike and a moped were stolen from the same suburban street at the weekend. Police aren't sure if the thefts are related, but suspect someone's targeting the area. The grey and black mountain bike is worth almost $800 and was stolen off a truck parked inside a Waimea Road property. It was locked to a bike rack, which was damaged. The moped was stolen from the driveway of another Waimea Road property. And a trio of local women are turning their attention to struggling school leavers to help them find direction. They say the world opens up once high school's finished, and that can be daunting. And their efforts to help misguided youth are being supported by the community.
School can be tough, but when it ends, it comes with its own set of pressures. So a trio of local women have teamed up, gathering more than 24 organisations together to help Dunedin school leavers. And they're hoping the city's inaugural Transition Expo will help out local teens daunted by the post-school world opening up before them.
I think it is scary for the families and for the students themselves, especially if they haven't tried the kind of things that they're going to do after school yet. It's a really big step.
Initially targeted at locals with disabilities, organisers have opened up the expo to Dunedin schools. They're getting lots of parents coming along too. Asha says many people have their social lives tied up in school, and finding a job can be tough. So she's hoping to provide a bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
I'd really like students and their families as well to come along and just get an idea of what life could look like for them after school.
Ash is pleased with the positive reception the expo's had, and the students she's worked with are happy to see their idea come to fruition, with lending a helping hand to confused Dunedin teens satisfying.
The most important thing for people when they're leaving school is to have enough information to make choices, and I wasn't sure they were always getting it, so we thought this might be a good opportunity to get it all in one place.
With strong community support, organisers are seeing a simple idea grow into something more. And that means this could all happen again next year, as another batch of school leavers face their future. David DeLorean, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, we meet the man carrying out a genetic study on New Zealand's seabirds, and a tournament attracts dozens of secondary school basketball teams to Dunedin.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
Quality Tailors, the alterations specialists, adjusting alterations made to measure. Quality Tailors, fitting Dunedin for over 15 years. Call 477 8028 162 Princess Street, one shop down from Darling Street.
Big Orange, for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
128 tracks, dynamic automation, dual faders, and totally digital. This is state-of-the-art music production. The SSL Digital Console. You'll find one in the BBC studios in London, another at CBS studios in New York, and now one at the University of Otago. It's a good reason why our sound now sounds even better. My name is Maddie Parkins Craig, and this is my place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product, and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Oh, lifestyler can be anybody. We look at a lifestyler as someone who perhaps has been a farmer and is retiring into a smaller block. It could be someone who's working here in Dunedin and has a few acres at home. It could be mum and the kids with the pony on an acre. You know, it's anyone that's got a little bit of land rather than just the quarter-acre section.
Obviously, as the Department of Corrections, our primary focus is on ensuring public safety. Corrections facilities or prisons are almost self-sufficient communities in our own right. For some prisons, putting interventions, giving them options as far as interventions go that are designed around making them more positive members of the community when they return to it.
Welcome back. The company behind 2 defunct student hangouts is being placed in liquidation. Frederick Street Management Limited previously traded as Boogie Nights and Capone. Both premises in Frederick Street were closed earlier this year. Owner Rob Dale blamed local regulations for the demise of his ventures. Boogie Nights was a nightclub and Capone a pizza bar. Both catered to the city's tertiary student population. Creditors have until the 8th of October to file claims with liquidators. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. The NZX 50 is down 65 points and is now at 5,590, and the Dow Jones is down 470 points. And to the exchange rates, the Kiwi dollar is up against all the currencies we follow. Local researchers are delving into the history of hunted New Zealand seabirds. Dr. Nick Rawlins has carried out a genetic study revealing prehistoric sanctuaries around the country, and he joins us now to talk about it. Good evening.
Good evening.
So firstly, tell us a bit about your study and what you wanted to find out.
So our study looks at human impacts on the Stewart Island shags. That's the shag that you find out at Tairoa Head. And we know it has a wide fossil distribution throughout the East and South Island of New Zealand and Stewart Island. We wanted to know how human harvesting through time impacted on this endangered species.
And was there anything specific that prompted this research?
There's been a big argument in paleontology and archaeology at the moment of what caused the extinction of the megafauna. So that's large animals over 44 kilograms, so your mammoth, mastodons, woolly rhino. And various studies have pinned the blame on climate change, others have pinned the blame on human harvesting. But no one's really had a geographic context like New Zealand where we can say that humans arrived very late in the piece, about 1280 AD, and then when these extinctions occurred, that climate was stable. So we can really start teasing apart how human impact and human harvesting through time differed in different regions of New Zealand.
And tell us about how you conducted the study.
So in museum collections and archaeological sites which we excavated throughout the South Island and throughout the country, there are hundreds of bones of Stewart Island shags, and so we go to museums, we sample a small piece of bone and we take it to our ancient DNA lab in the zoology department. We extract DNA and we isolate small fragments of this DNA. So if you think of modern DNAs like the phone book, if you want to go to a certain page in the phone book, it's very easy and you can photocopy that. But if you place this phone book in an oven at 200 degrees Celsius, it becomes very dry and brittle. And so that's what we're working with. So we're having to find the very small, tiny fragments, amplify those up. And we combine that with radiocarbon dating and some computer modelling to work out how human harvesting impacted on these shags.
And from all that work, what were the main findings?
So what we have is the Stewart Island shag comes in two flavours. We have an Otago lineage and we have a lineage in Fovo Strait. Now the Otago lineage was spread throughout the entirety of the East and South Island from Wairau Bar up near Marlborough Sounds down to the Southern Catlins. And within about 100 years of Polynesian arrival at 1380 AD, they've gone through a massive bottleneck where they've lost 99% of their population numbers and they've contracted to just around Otago where they survive on offshore islets. Now, compared to that, the Fovo Strait lineage wasn't really impacted by human harvesting at all. It had a very stable population history, is only ever found in Fovo Strait, and so that survived human hunting quite well. So it's just these very two vastly different signatures of human harvesting.
And are there other countries likely to be interested in this research?
Yes, there are. It shows that the megafaunal extinction debate and what caused the extinction of these species is not as clear-cut as humans or climate change. It's a lot more nuanced. So we can say that if you can rule out climate change, then you can start looking at how human harvesting differed across space and time. And that's what we've shown.
Dr. Nick Rawlins, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, local basketball players are set to compete for victory in a secondary schools tournament. And our Word on the Street team asked your views on freedom camping in Dunedin.
Do you want support for your breathing? You are not alone. In New Zealand, over 600,000 people have some form of breathing difficulty, especially with the high pollen season in New Zealand. Puff Plus is an excellent natural product developed to support lung function and breathing difficulties. Puff Plus is so effective, you get a no questions asked money-back guarantee on the first purchase. Give it a go, you have nothing to lose. Call now, 0800 502 402. Take as directed. If symptoms persist, see your healthcare professional.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
For 30 years, Southern Clams have harvested New Zealand littleneck clams in the coastal waters of Otago. Hand harvesting to order at the right place and time ensures perfection of every clam you eat. New Zealand littleneck clams, harvested for you by Southern Clams.
Every reason, every season. reason, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
A lifestyler to me is a person maybe wanting to escape the hustle and bustle of a big city, wanting some animals, maybe able to grow their own veggies, have chickens, get their own hens. A lifestyle block can be your supermarket, just a good way of living, and a lot of people enjoy that rather than being in a city. A very sustainable way to live.
We can't guarantee what people will do once they leave here, but we can sure as hell try to make it better. We're making headways, especially with our offenders going out and the integration between our industries and the outside industries, like the real stuff. Society just needs to give these guys a chance.
Welcome back. Local basketball courts are jam-packed for a secondary schools tournament being hosted in the city. Dozens of teams from around the South Island are competing, but local players are set to put up a good fight.
It's long days and long nights at the Edgar Centre as the South Island Secondary School Premierships gets underway. This is the southern leg of a 4-part tournament, with the rest of it taking place in the North Island. And locals are already clocking up wins, with Otago boys beating a Christchurch team in one of the first games. Basketball Otago staff say they're among the ones to watch this week.
With the girls, our St Hilda's team's looking really strong. There's always good teams in Christchurch and the odd good team from Nelson. And I haven't seen any of the Southland teams this year. They could be a dark horse too. But, our local teams looking pretty strong this year.
38 teams are taking part in the annual tournament, with a strong contingent from Christchurch. Brockbank says the visitors' presence is always a good boost for the local basketball scene. He's stoked to see the standard of play here skyrocket over the past few years too.
There's a lot of kids playing NBL that are in this tournament, and a lot of kids playing WBC for the girls. It's really tight at the top, and then it peters off all the way down. But the tournament's getting bigger, and it's great to see all the kids competing.
A lot of man hours and admin work goes into putting this tournament together, with Basketball New Zealand and the local branch working together to pull it off. Massive volunteer support keeps it chugging along too, and means the southern teams have a place to play in the city. And it gives them a shot at taking their game to the next level, with the top 6 teams qualifying for the Nationals in Palmerston North later this year.
It's a big step up again from there. Usually the teams that win South Islands are pretty strong, but it's very tough with those North Island teams up there. It's a big tournament.
The last games are due to take place on Saturday night, and Brockbank's got his fingers crossed it'll be the local teams coming out on top, after several days of battling the South Island's top basketballers. David DeLorean, 39, Dunedin News.
The City Council's working on a new bylaw for freedom campers following a controversial trial. Proposed new rules are more restrictive, allowing freedom camping within controlled areas. And with that in mind, our Word on the Street team asked members of the public if they think freedom campers should be accommodated in the city.
I think yes. Why is that? Well, we're meant to be a friendly place here in Dunedin, and there's lots of places they can go to already, but as long as they're responsible with their rubbish and they've got their own toilets and everything on board, I can't see the problem.
I think we should accommodate freedom campers. I mean, they're coming to our city to experience what we have on offer here, all our sites and that sort of stuff, so I think we should allow them to stay here and camp where they want, but I think we should just watch them a bit, like watch what they're doing and that sort of stuff.
I just have no problem with it, I guess. I don't know. We're big enough to accommodate it, I guess. I don't see any problem.
I do agree with the freedom campers because I believe it's their choice. It's a free parking spot or wherever they're going. Nobody's living there. The Dunedin Council isn't doing anything with that place, so I reckon all for it.
I think they should.
Why is that?
Because the way the accommodation and everything is, and some people are hard up these days and a lot out of work.
I don't really think it's a big deal. I've done a lot of freedom camping before, and I think if that's what they want to do, it's not really bothering anyone, so in my opinion anyway.
Okay, I'm going to go with yes with that, but on the understanding that both sides commit to the rules. I'm not sure about the council rules or whatever, but no, I'll be happy with that as long as they do their bit, and I think we should accommodate them.
I have no problem with them. I mean, as long as they're not doing any damage, if they don't litter, if they tidy up after themselves, I don't see why they're a problem.
I reckon yes. Just, everyone's got a right to that, so yeah, I don't see why they shouldn't be allowed to.
No, I don't think they should.
Why is that?
Because I think we've got enough to deal with it in the city without that.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. The DCC's plan to disestablish the Mosgiel Community Board is concerning its chairman, who says residents are losing their voice. Union's Otago members will continue to lobby for better workplace protection in the wake of new health and safety laws. And struggling school leavers are being guided into the next stages of their lives thanks to an expo organised by 3 local women. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry Stewart.
Hello, Holly. We have some good news for a change, some would say. The good news for St Clair residents, the threat of St Clair's disappearing sand dunes, well, that's been overstated, according to an expert, so we have that story tomorrow. ID Fashion Chairwoman Susie Staley is stepping down from the organisation. And do you realise it is cheaper for Kiwis to book accommodation overnight accommodation in Paris than it is in Queenstown? So we have that story. And the union says ESCO, the foundry which announced on Tuesday that it is closing down in December, well, workers there will struggle to find jobs in Dunedin.
All that in tomorrow's ODT.
Yep.
Thanks very much, Barry.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at local weather.
This weather update is proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn's Puff Plus.
Starting with today's city view, taken of clouds gathering over the harbour. Around the city today, the central city recorded 10 degrees, 12 at the Gardens and 11 degrees out on the Taieri. Looking at the situation, a cool sou'wester airflow has been spreading over the country today, and a weak ridge of high pressure will move quickly past tomorrow. To the forecast for the main towns in the lower South Island for tomorrow. Invercargill, southwesterly change, showers later and 11. Also southwesterly change and showers later for Gore, 12. Tiano, fresh sou'westers and some rain, 9. Alexandra, freshening westerlies, otherwise mostly fine, and 13. Queenstown, freshening westerlies, cloud increasing and 13 degrees. Oamaru, moderate sou'westers, mostly fine, and 11. And Wanaka and Twizel, freshening westerlies, mostly fine and 13 degrees. Here in Dunedin, becoming fine tonight with a low of 6. Tomorrow, fine and sunny periods at first, but high cloud increasing and westerlies freshening. A high of 11 and the low is 5. And on Friday, showers clearing and becoming fine and sunny with some cold sou'westers dying out. A high of 8 and a low of 2. And finally, to the tidal and fishing information. High tide tomorrow morning is at 7:10 a.m. and low tide follows at 2:03 p.m. Fishing conditions are bad, but best at 4:31 p.m. And that's local news for tonight. On behalf of the 39 Dunedin News team, have a very good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.